All right, welcome to Your Best Life. I'm here today with Kathryn Mitchem. Before we get started with the show, I have the quote of the day. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. And that's by Helen Keller. So today's guest, Kathryn Mitchem, is the founder of Studio B Yoga in Evergreen, Colorado. Beautiful Evergreen, I should say. Yoga instructor in the Shambhava tradition. She leads personal transformation retreats. She coaches clients to take their yoga off the mat and into their lives through the Satori lifestyle yoga training. And Casey, most importantly, loves snuggling, laughing, and playing in the sunshine here in Colorado with her three little people, ages 12, 10, and 8. So welcome to Your Best Life.
Hi, Eric. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so nice to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I wanted to get you on the show because you lead a pretty great life, at least on the outside. I don't know what's going on in your mind. I can't read your mind, but man, you always seem, full of life and very vibrant. And I know you, like everyone else, you have your own life, your own stuff. But man, you're just really great at sharing yoga with others and meditation, lifestyle coaching. Just a very dynamic woman. And most of our viewers, listeners are female, a lot of yogis, and I think they can relate to a lot of what we're going to talk about today. So
wonderful. Well, I can't wait to share, and I feel the same way about you, just so you know. I feel that from you all the time. So
thanks. Cool. Let's jump in. This is all about your best life, and I threw on the end of your best life today. And that's kind of, we want to focus on things that people can take action on. So if they're driving in their car or they're listening at home or in their headphones, chilling out, we want to just share things that we think can help them just lead a great life. So I wanted to jump right in and start right at the meat of it. You recently went through a divorce and you're writing a book about the experience. Can you tell us about that journey? And maybe your meditation and yoga helped along the way?
I have to say, the day that I realized that my 10-year marriage with 3 kids was over, all the yoga and meditation that I had done in my whole life, were gone. It was gone. It was a very, very emotionally traumatic experience. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, I was lost. I mean, it was a big shock, right? And so my practice that I'd been doing really, really supported me to that point, I know, in making the right decision for me. Mm-hmm. But that's the moment that I actually found the Satori coaching program. I had a coach who was actually really close to me as a friend, who saw me going through just this emotional upheaval and said, let me give you a free session. And I was a little hesitant, I was like, well, what do you know? What can you teach me? I've been doing yoga for 20 years. I've been leading teacher trainings. I got this. But what I realized, even after one session, is that the tools from Satori were going to and were able to support me in going to the next level in my growth. And so that was when, it all kind of happened at the same time. So the time that the divorce happened is when I found Satori. And within a couple of weeks, I knew I wanted to become a coach. So the divorce in and of itself, I have to say, life-altering. Absolutely life-altering. And
well, could I jump in there?
Say about it.
I just wanted to jump in there. I remember seeing you one day, and I felt like it was about a year after. And I remember you sharing with me very openly, people think this is supposed to, you're supposed to heal so quickly from this big, huge life transition. I don't mean to get you off track, but I was hoping you could speak to that a little bit about, that almost pressure from people, you're supposed to all of a sudden be okay.
Right. I think it's so true with any loss. And divorce is a loss. It's a loss of the promise of a family. It's a loss of, this person who's going to be your person that you go through life with. It's the loss of the structure. It's a loss financially. It's a huge loss, just like a death. And I would put it right up there with a death. And I think our culture just kind of, I think people are really understanding it first and really, compassionate. But I think like our culture kind of has like this time limit on grieving that is somehow imposed by some outside force. And until we actually can be like our own healer and give ourselves all the space and all the time and all the practices and all the, you know, all of the stages of grieving, it's just not going to happen on anyone else's time schedule. So I do have to say, after a year, definitely things, you know, were a little bit more stable, but I'm about into 2 years of the separation now. And I finally am feeling like, wow, I have the tools and I have the strength now to move forward with my own life, but also help others through it. So it definitely takes time. And thank you for acknowledging that. I think that's something that we all need to acknowledge is, and grief comes back in cycles, as some of us know who have gone through a loss. You know, it comes back, and to push it away is absolutely not going to help the process.
Yeah. And I know you love working with women in your practice, in your coaching practice. You know, what advice would you give them when they're going through a huge life transition like that? And I know the stat is like 50% of people will go through a divorce, but any other, you know, there's all these major life transitions that people can go through. You know, what kind of, you know, how do you help people? What are the main things that you put out there to help people get through these big changes and come out feeling, you know, better on the other end?
Well, my very number one message that I give to my clients or even to my friends who are going through any big life of upheaval is this one statement to say to ourselves, you know, to say to yourself is, it's okay not to be okay. And I think that is the message that we all want to hear, that we're all looking for, that we're all kind of almost waiting. Like we go to our therapists, right? We go to our healers, we go to yoga. And until we really give ourselves that message, it's okay not being okay during this time, then nothing else is going to help. Like right there, just accepting that life is messy. Life is messy. It's wonderful. It's ecstatic, but it's messy, right? And to say like, I'm okay. It's okay that I'm not okay right now is the very first step in opening to healing and growth. If you're resisting what's happening, if you're resisting your own state of being, right? Like if I would have resisted the fact that I was grieving, that I was sad, like for some reason there was a part of me that was like, don't be sad about your divorce. You wanted it to happen. I was very sad. I cried and cried. You know, there was still a lot of emotion that was there. So until we allow ourselves to feel every single thing that we feel, then we're going to get stuck, you know? So if we do want to move through with ease and with more grace, just giving ourselves permission to not be okay is the first step.
Yeah. And I think we can even broaden that to all human beings because, you know, someone might be listening and saying, oh, I'm not going through this major life transition right now, but I've been practicing meditation and yoga for 15 years. And I'm very hard on myself if I have any mental afflictions, if I have any depression or anxiety or anger or stress. I just think like instead of like acknowledging it and saying it's okay to not be okay, I like push it down or I think, oh, I should have this figured out by now. So I'm like layering on top of some stress, more pressure on myself. Like somehow I should be able to not feel any negative emotions anymore. I mean, that's not nice. That's not kind. We shouldn't. I mean, yeah. So can you speak to that kind of even to a broader audience of just all people who are on this path, you know?
Absolutely. And you know, that's the human condition, right? Like we that's what we do to ourselves. So right there, just knowing that you are human, just it's okay that I do this to myself, right? For me, the answer is radical self-love, period. There is just no other path, Eric. Until we start becoming our own best friend, our own parent, and our own lover, we are never, ever going to find that, you know, that source of validation outside of us until we start doing that for ourselves. And so that's, to me, the most important practice we can have is noticing. And you got it. You notice it, right? Like, oh, I'm judging myself again. That's the moment where we stop and we take a deep breath. We can put our hands to our heart and just say and feel exactly what we're feeling. Like, first feel exactly what we're feeling, and then become like that. We can reparent ourselves, right? We can become our own like life partner to ourselves. We can like just become our own best teacher and just say, what is it that I need right now? And usually it's just more love, right? Like, I love the part of me that's scared. I love the part of me that's doubting myself, right? Like, what do I need right now? What do I need right now? And sometimes it might just be just to lay there and breathe. It might be to go for a walk. It might be to go to a yoga class. It might be to do some journaling, whatever it is, but just really listening and loving yourself in that moment, right? When we feel ourselves judging or saying, I shouldn't be feeling this right now, I should be farther along the path, right? Like, we are right here, right now. So why not love ourselves? You talk about your best life today, right? Why not give ourselves that love today? Like, why wait? Why wait until we are, more consistently joyful, or we have a better relationship, or we're making more money? Like, today, how about giving yourself that radical self-love today in this moment when the pain arises? Mm-hmm. To me, there's no better way. There's no better path.
Radical self-love.
Radical self-love. Like, no, there's nothing left out. There's nothing left out. There's no dark corner of our minds, of our bodies, of our psyches, of our hearts that gets left out. Every single piece gets left.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, good. Let's do it.
A lot of the people that listen to our show, they're in this transitional place in life where they might have a mainstream corporate job, something that's not really feeding their soul. But it's helping them to make a living. It's providing for their family. And then they get into yoga and their whole life changes. Maybe they start with asana, and next thing you know, they're eating right and they're meditating and they're doing the workshop thing. And they just see like how much beauty and value it brings to their life. And they want to do it full time. You're a good example of someone. I don't know your previous history before a yoga teacher and all that, but you're making a life of helping others, and that's something a lot of people want to do. So I was hoping you could kind of, give us some insight, or just share some advice with people that are listening or watching. How to do this full time if that's where they want to go with it.
Well, I think what you said is the first step, is really feeling that desire to serve. It's like a calling. Usually when we find yoga and we love it so much, we want to share it, right? It's natural. We want to share it from our hearts with others. And I think number one is just getting really still and asking, like going within, like having a practice where you have inner silence on a regular basis, mm-hmm. where you can ask, you can go inside, tap into your third eye and say, how can I serve? Like, what is the next step that I can do, that I can take? It's baby steps, right? It's not like, today I'm in a corporate job, tomorrow I'm going to own a yoga studio and be a lifestyle coach and lead retreats. It's baby steps. And I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. So I had to take lots of baby steps to get where I am today. Mm-hmm. But first of all, just knowing that it's coming from the heart, right? And then asking for guidance, asking for that inner wisdom, because you have that wisdom. We all have that wisdom. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of trusting it, right? We doubt that we have that guidance. And so the more we can listen, the more we can trust that inner guidance to take the baby steps. That's number one. So with that being said, I was a yoga teacher part-time throughout my stay-at-home mom career. Mm-hmm. And it's a great way to serve. It's awesome, like to go in and teach yoga classes. And I needed a separate source of income. It doesn't pay the bills, right? Like, mm-hmm. And it's pretty, it could pay the bills if you're teaching 8 to 10 classes a day, maybe, or, you
practice least yourself. It's the common dilemma of yoga teachers that I always hear about is if I want to make a living doing this, I can't do my own practice. And then it's like a downward spiral from there.
Right. And then you're doing it to make money, and
the stressed out yoga teacher.
And you're not feeding your soul. So what I love about what I get to do as a coach is basically I get to see my clients every week. They commit to a 16-week program with me. So I get to actually see them, not just in a yoga class and maybe getting the benefits here and there. I get to walk them through week by week a program where they are making changes. They're using these tools to bring the yoga, the feeling of yoga, it's called Satori, the program that I teach, off of the mat and into their lives. Mm-hmm. So what I've found with coaching, also it's easier on my body because I'm not trying to teach, 8 classes a day. I can do my coaching. I do my coaching on the phone. Sometimes I do it in person. But for me, it's even more fulfilling than teaching yoga classes because I get to see the changes and I get to offer support, ongoing support. So I absolutely love it. Like, I'm so excited that I found this program and figured out how to do something I love and make a living and help people in such a deep and significant way.
So this is really poignant because you could be a yoga teacher watching this, or you could be a student. And I want to know more about, so from the teacher perspective, you can serve full time. You can help people, because I know once people start doing asana, just give them a little time and it's the whole lifestyle.
Right.
So I guess looking at both sides of that, what's Satori all about in a nutshell? Like, because I know it's much more broad than asana alone. So.
It is. So Satori, the word Satori actually means instant awakening. And it's the instant awakening that occurs when your body, your mind, your emotions, and your spirit are in harmony. So think about it like as a car driving down the road with 4 tires. And, you have your 4 tires, your 4 parts of yourself. And if 1 or 2 of those tires are off, like what's going to happen? You're going to go flying off the road. You're going to veer into the wrong lane. You may stop altogether. And that's kind of our life journey, right? We want to have balance in all 4 realms in order to have a smoother journey down this road of life. So Satori breaks, it's a 16-week coaching program. It's the only coaching program that has a yoga and meditation practice that goes along with it. So you have this like support all the time because you have this practice that you're doing to really help with the practices of self-awareness, releasing tensions and blocks in the body, in the mind, in the heart. So the coaching program, it broke it into the 4 realms, so about 4 weeks on each, the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And let me just tell you, the thing I love that I connected to with Satori that was so in alignment with my own yoga practice is that we're not trying to become something. Like, I'm not going to coach you and in 16 weeks you're going to become something that you're not. It's basically about letting go of all the crap that you're not and just being who you are. And that's called our natural state. And in yoga, we call it Satchitananda. It's bliss. It's what we are. It's what we're born with. It's how we're born. It's our natural state. But over, from the moment we arrive onto this planet, we are given so many messages about what we're not and what we need to be and what we should be, right? And really the process is a process of identifying and letting go. So and that's where the harmony comes.
In the 16 weeks, the process is, it's not like you're going to be a caterpillar in the beginning and then at the end you're going to become this butterfly. Maybe it's more like as you work through it, you're going to discover you were always a butterfly. I mean, not to sound cheesy, but that's kind of, you were already perfect.
However, the caterpillar is also the butterfly, right? So we could go back and forth with this one. Because I love that analogy, actually. And usually when I see people, when they come to me, I don't know if you've ever actually read the story of the caterpillar, but it's a caterpillar. It's just going on along with its life, right? And then all of a sudden these changes start happening. Yeah. And then it finds itself in this cocoon, right? And the caterpillar is like, what the hell is going on? Right? And then the caterpillar starts, I don't know if you know this, it completely dissolves. It becomes goo. The caterpillar becomes goo. And that's usually when I see people, is when they're like, I don't know, I'm goo. I don't know what's going on. And can you help me? But really what's happening is they are already becoming the butterfly, right? They're already becoming. And what I do is I help them with the tools to make it a smoother transition because they're destined to be that butterfly anyway, right? So the caterpillar holds within it all the memory and all the knowing that it is a butterfly. I just help them with the tools to help them move through those transitions, that messiness, that ooey gooey, who am I, what's going on, my life's falling apart, you know, and it doesn't always have to be that extreme. Just so you don't have to be total goo to come to me, but just knowing that, you know, there's a higher potential, and how can I move through that transition to be my best self, you know, to live my greatest life. So they may become a butterfly because they already are, because we all are, right? We already are that. We're already in that state. We just sometimes need a little commitment and tools to really live it and to step into it.
Yep. So during the 16 weeks, you move through the body, the mind, the emotions, the spirit, and it's like a weekly call. I'm sure there's some accountability with you to do what you say you're going to do, which I love about coaching.
Yeah.
So this sounds like you're into asana, your lifestyle starting to you know, turn into one where you just want to live this more fully. Maybe you're having a life transition and you are goo, and you do the Satori program. From the other side of that, if someone's listening or watching that's a yoga teacher and wants to broaden their offerings to their students and serve more, you also, so you're a coach, but also you license the ability, you teach people how to coach.
Exactly.
Can you tell us a little about that and how that would look for like a yoga teacher to add that to what she's doing? Or
definitely. Yeah, exactly. Well, there is the coaching program. You can become a certified coach. So to become a certified coach, you actually go through as a client first. So you go through and you really experience the program and learn the tools for yourself. And then so that's the 4 months. And then the next 4 months is mentoring with the founder of Destination Satori. Her name is Carol Gutzeit.
Oh.
And so weekly calls with her. She does mentoring. You have a practice client. So basically by the end of those 2 4-month processes, you're certified to be a coach. And you can go out on your own and start getting coaching clients. Satori also sends you clients. So it's a great way, and again, to work from home, to really work from anywhere. You don't have to live in Colorado. You can be anywhere in the country doing this all over. We have a lot of corporate clients, so that's another big realm as we go into corporations and teach them wellness programs. So you can become a part of that. And as a yoga instructor, you can also do the Satori yoga certification. It's only 50 hours, but you learn the Satori program. You can take that into your yoga classes, into corporations, hospitals, schools, community groups. Even if you're not a certified teacher already, a certified yoga teacher, you can still do the certificate program. I know. So there's so many options, right? So I'm a coach and a teacher. So I lead classes and I also do the coaching. I work with corporations. So I'm doing I get to do the whole thing.
I love the Satori yoga classes too. I remember actually to be, you know, what's the word, vulnerable here. I was kind of using yoga as a kind of another way to stay busy or to kind of beat myself up in a way. Like, all right, I'm doing all these things with my career and my family, and now I'm going to go fit in a yoga class. And I almost wanted to like just be pushed in another place in my life, ironically, because that's the last place. That's what I needed the least, was to be pushed more with my yoga practice physically,
right.
You know? So Satori, I remember it was so strange the first few classes when that part comes where you actually like rub your hands and your feet and like self-massage. I was like, it was so like strange to me to actually care for myself. Wow. And after all these years of practice, that was a really big moment. You know, and I think that's common to a lot of American yoga practitioners is they relate to this like a physical practice and, you know, the clothes and I got to keep up, and it's just another place to kind of beat yourself up. And it's all how you look at it. I mean, any yoga class, it's all how you relate to it. But Satori really did help me to slow down a bit. And so thanks for that. Satori is pretty cool.
Wow. I love hearing that, right? Because sometimes when you tell somebody that we incorporate self-massage, they just kind of look at me like an alien. And the fact is, doing those self-care practices like breathing deeply and, you know, massaging your hands, massaging your face, that is self-love. I mean, that is like the truest act of self-love and self-care, is to just slow down and really feel into the body. And you're right, a lot of yoga practices don't incorporate so much of that. It's more performance oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Satori definitely. And even just going to a Satori class, I think you walk away with some tools that you can take into your life as well. We do visualization, we do deep relaxation, a really nice guided meditation. So it really, the Satori yoga class is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. I think this all comes back to our quote of the day, that character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience, trial, and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. So the part of it is you have to care for yourself and slow down and love yourself. But also these things in life come up, like divorce and major transitions and career changes. And I don't like my job, and I'm going to have the guts to go through this training and become a coach.
Right.
So it's just such a fun path, you know, and I love to see when people come out the other end of trials so much more vibrant and strong and joyful. So I was hoping you could offer advice or maybe some book recommendations or anything that you want to share where, you know, just people can just bring more vibrancy and health to their life, diet tips, anything like that, or...
Sure. I'll share what I do. And I'm feeling pretty healthy these days. I'm 43 and I have 3 kids and I work full time, and I still feel every day I wake up excited and ready to jump in and, you know, make it through the day. And so I find the most important part of my practice is just to set aside that time in the morning before anything starts, before the kids get out of bed, before the calls start, before I even check my email, which I know is a hard one, right? But to actually sit with myself. And that's when I do my meditation. I'll do guide myself through a meditation. And lately, my biggest, most powerful practice is putting my hands to my heart and saying, I love you, and really giving myself the love, you know. And so I might look at my day and kind of have fears or questions or doubts. And that's where I love myself, right? I feel the fear, or I feel the doubts, or I feel whatever, my hesitance. And that's when I just breathe and love myself. And I got that practice from Matt Kahn. And this is his brand new book. I am in love with it. It's called Whatever Arises, Love That. So he talks a lot about the radical self-love movement. He has YouTube videos. He just released this book, and I highly recommend this book. This is one of my...
the author's name again for everyone listening?
Matt Kahn, Kahn.
Thank you.
Okay. And then for my clients, when they start with me, especially if self-awareness is new to them, this is my other kind of must-read book. It's called The Untethered Soul. And it's been out now for a few years. It really is all about becoming the witness, right? Becoming the observer, becoming the awareness. Not that you have to become it, because you already are that, but being aware of the awareness, right? So that when there are tensions that come up in your body, or when your thoughts start to lead you down a path, or when your emotions get overwhelming, it teaches us this, it's by Michael Singer. He teaches how to take a step back and just to really observe what you're feeling, right? So you can respond rather than react. You respond from a place of presence rather than react from a place of fear or conditioning.
Yeah, I love that analogy too. In Buddhism, they use it a lot, where it's like you're in this crowd of people in a busy market, and there's a thief in the market, they say. And there's thousands of people in this busy market. There's no way you're going to find the thief, you know? And what you do, though, is there's this tower, and you go up on the tower, and then you're way back, and you can get some perspective. And that thief is your mental afflictions, or these arisings that normally you just think, I'm stressed. That's like saying, I am stressed.
No, right? You're like saying, I'm stressed, bring me more.
Like back up, and then you can kind of see, oh, there's the sensation of stress. And I mean, that's something I just take for granted now after all these years of meditation. But if you're not in tune with that, you are not that suffering, you got to read that book. So that's called Untethered Soul, and it's by Michael Singer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Exactly. That's why I love it, because it really ties in. All of these things tie in with these deep philosophical truths, you know, from Buddhism, from yoga, just to step back, right? This isn't who we are. That's who we think we are. We're conditioned, right? That's our normal state. But our natural state is the observer. We're pure. We're pure consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So we learn. Yeah, exactly. You do your practice every day. You start figuring out where that thief is, getting onto your tower. And then this book, this is the Satori Living, How to Create a Balanced Life That You Love book. And so this is kind of like the workbook that we use for coaching. And it's also available for everyone on Amazon. It's written by Carol Gutzeit, which I love her name. It's like Good Site, but Gutzeit. Mm-hmm. It's Gutzeit. And if you go to Amazon, it's readily available. There's also a DVD of all the yoga practices that go along with the Satori program. So this one, it's so funny. My clients will come into me, and this happens all the time. And it's really basic, you know, there's just like little snippets of, hey, do this, try this. Mm-hmm. They come in and they're like, oh my gosh, this is like mind blowing. This is like universal truth. Like I'm blown away just by the little exercises of self-awareness. And
well, they're things you can do, right?
Yeah, they're doable.
That's the thing. Like you can, I was talking to, we had another call yesterday, and we were talking about how there's thousands and thousands of self-help books or spiritual books or ways to build a better life, you know, but it's the things that you can take action on, and then actually taking action though. And, you know, I don't know if I'm cutting you off if you got through your 3 books, but any advice on actually executing, maybe that's a harsh word, but I think that's the right word, executing on all these practices that are going to transform your life, because it's easy to buy a book and then not do the practices and do some coaching. I mean, you can just, it's like the spiritual buffet.
Right. There's so much out there.
So how do you, I mean, what habits do you have that you are able to, you know, really take action and do these practices, and especially these ones that are easier to stick to, I think, that are doable?
Yeah, good question. Well, I always say 10 minutes a day. Just 10 minutes a day. The very first thing is to commit to yourself. I'm going to love myself or do a self-awareness practice, which is the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. For 10 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. So I don't like to put any limit on it. I think it should be really self-guided, right? Mm-hmm. Like if something really works for you, like I know for me, I need to sit in inner silence because I have such a busy, active, mentally outward life. Going inside at the first beginning of the day is the most important thing for me. Yeah. But for other people, you know, maybe they love to dance, or maybe they love to do a sun salutation. I say pick what it is that you love and that you're going to commit to. It may change every day. That's okay, right? But pick something and love yourself for at least 10 minutes a day. Period. So, yeah, there is a lot out there, but I also think our hearts know what's true, right? I think our hearts know what we need. And I think as long as we have the courage to follow that and commit to it, then we'll see progress. Mm-hmm. So number one, that's the number one thing that I do. And then I really do try to choose throughout my day, be really aware of like what does feel good, like what feels right, you know, in terms of food, in terms of drink, in terms of every choice I make. I try to come from a place of like an inner knowing rather than like doing it from I should. Mm-hmm. You know, I should eat broccoli today, but what if I just want to eat potato chips and hummus? You know, like I just kind of check in. And I think that's what our self-awareness practice does. It helps us know what's truth, right? Mm-hmm. So we start leading this life of like, we can live from our truth. We can ask ourselves, we have all the answers inside. So when it comes to, you know, food or relationships, or do I want to call this person right now? Or do I want to email? Or, you know, what do I need right now? So just constantly asking, like, what would be the most self-loving choice in every moment? But it starts with the practice of self-love. So I say just pick something. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Do what works. Do what connects you in. Do what helps you carry it through your day.
I love what you're saying about that. Our culture, we've been trained to look outside of ourselves for all the answers. I mean, it's the doctor. It's like, it's you know, everything's always outside of you. You got to read another book. You got to do another thing. And with this mindfulness thing, gosh, you know the answers and can feel within what to do for yourself. It's like, at first it was really mind blowing for me. And what a great gift though of this practice to take control back, you know. And I'm just like, I know what to eat.
Right?
And I know what to do when I'm stressed, or I don't really need another book. I mean, maybe a book would help, but um, I don't know. It's just really neat. I think that's a big gift that you get when you just have a practice for a while, right?
I think it absolutely is. And then the next step of that, Eric, that is so powerful is, so by loving ourselves, right? By listening to that inner voice, by giving ourselves that unconditional love, what happens next? We start giving that to others.
Because you're overflowed, you filled yourself up finally.
Yeah. Right? You have this source, you have this knowing, and then first you're living it, you're vibrating at that level. So others get the benefit of that. But like, think about your kids, right? If you don't need your kids to be a certain way, if you don't need them to behave a certain way, if you teach them how to find out what's best for them, wow, right? Like, you're living it, you're teaching it to them. It just makes everything more smooth. When we love ourselves, when we have this practice, this commitment to living from this inner truth, we're not only an example of that to others, we also let others off the hook, right? Like, hey, my happiness, you're off the hook. Like, I got my happiness. You're off the hook, and I can just love you unconditionally for who you are. What a gift that is to each other, right? It's a gift to the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's our gift of service. That's how we serve others, is by serving ourselves.
Right. Well, I know I just would love to do some of these practices with you, and we'll share with other people that are listening, how to find out more about you in a second. But before we wrap up, something I ask on every show from a friend of mine, Dave, over at the Bulletproof blog. It's just this great health and wellness blog. He asks all his guests this question, and I'm making a tradition on our show as well. What are 3 things people can do starting today that they can really take action on in their lives to live their best life? And it can be from any part of your world. It doesn't have to be from yoga teaching, your whole life experience. And just 3, quick, concise things. And you may have already said some of them. But what are those 3 things? Like, if, this was your last chance to give some wisdom.
Right. Or if this is your last day on earth, like, how can you be happy right now, right? Okay, so this is what I would say. Number 1, get your energy moving. Like, do something to keep energy moving. Breath work, yoga, dance, meditation. It could be sex. It could be walking in the woods. It could be journaling. Get things flowing. Like, getting stuck is like, it can slow down the process. Get things moving. Number 1, on a physical level, get things moving. Number 2, hands to the heart, especially when you're feeling triggered or feeling, any source of upset. Hands to the heart and the words, I love you, and say it out loud. I mean, you can say it out loud. You can whisper it. If you're in a crowded place, maybe you just say it to yourself. But I love you, and what do you need right now? Just like a parent would say to a child, I love you. What do you need right now? How can I serve you right now? That's number 2. And number 3 is basically, if we can shift, if we can throw away every belief that we're victims, that life is beating us down and that we're on the defense and that we've got to fight and struggle, if we can start to look at life as always giving us our greatest gift in every moment, no matter how painful and how traumatic it may feel, acknowledging that this is a friendly universe that we live in, and that we are constantly given gifts so that we can grow and evolve to our happiness. If we can make that one little shift, and when anything is going big or wrong, and say, what is the gift here? I live in a friendly universe. What is the gift in this moment? Then it will change everything.
Great. So you get that energy moving, number 1. 2, hands to the heart. I love you. What do you need right now? And then 3 is it sounded like gratitude, to sum that up.
It is gratitude. It's
good word.
Again, radical gratitude. This is thank you. This is happening for a reason. And what's the gift? Right? Like, letting go of that victim. Something's happening to me, but like, oh, thank you. Here I am. I'm open to receive. What is the gift? Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. And then if, I'm sure people heard a lot of inspiring things on this episode. How do they learn more about you as a coach and as a teacher, and also, Satori, like those 2 worlds?
Well, actually, all of that information is on my personal website, but I'll give two just in case, just so there's a wider range. So my name, Kathryn Mitchem, is spelled KATHRYN MITCHEM. My website is kathrynmitchem.com, and people can book a free session with me right from my website, and they can fill out when the best time is. And it really is a whole session. It's not a teaser. Like, they will walk away after this 45-minute lifestyle assessment session with some tools that they can take into their life right away. So number one is my website will have information on my studio here in Evergreen. If anyone wants to come up, take a yoga class, find out more about the Satori teacher trainings. And then the website of Satori, it's Destination Satori, SATORI.com. And that gives you a really nice overview on the programs and all of everything that we have to offer. You can also sign up for a weekly inspirational quote or inspirational blog. It's great, from Satori. So that's the best way to reach me, or just come to Evergreen. My studio is called Studio B Evergreen, and we're right near downtown. It's a great place for a day retreat. You can come up and go hiking and take a class, and I'd love to meet anyone who comes up. And
we're not a bad international destination either. I mean, if you want to come to the Rocky Mountains and go skiing or whatever you're doing, stop by Evergreen on your way up. We're right off I-70 on the way to the mountains. So
exactly. It's kind of our little slice of heaven up here in the mountains.
And that's what's a gift too about this technology is if someone watching this is anywhere in the world, I'm sure they could tune in with you just how we are right now through some kind of a video connection or a call for coaching. Don't need to be local, right?
Absolutely not. Yeah. Most of my clients right now are distance clients, and it works just as well, if not better, sometimes over the phone or.
You don't have to drive anywhere.
Pardon?
You don't have to drive anywhere.
Right? And you can wear your pajamas and not brush your teeth. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kathryn. I really appreciate your time. And this was a great episode, I think, of Your Best Life. And I really appreciate you.
It was such a pleasure, Eric. Thank you so much for inviting me.